This one I pretty much just pressed play on because it stars Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen. I didn't really need to look into it any more than that. So I had no idea what it was even gonna be about. But the first thing I noticed was the score, because I immediately liked it. It just had this great playful feel to it, but at the same time it was really effective. So I had to look up who was responsible for the music, and it's Carter Burwell. A name I didn't recognize at all, but definitely should have been familiar with. Because he's apparently scored a ton of really good movies over the years. A lot of them being Coen Brothers movies, but also one of my all-time favorites, In Bruges. So yeah, I love the score in this, and it's no wonder because this guy knows what he's doing. But so does director Bill Condon, whose previous work I'm not that familiar with. I've seen Kinsey and the new Beauty and the Beast remake, which I didn't care for that much. But other than that, I don't really have an impression of him as a filmmaker. However, he did a really good job with this one. I liked the way it was shot. The cinematography was also good. It has a very clean and crisp look to it. And the editing was pretty much seamless too, as was the pacing. So as far as the technical side of things go, I don't really have any complaints. Nor did I have any issues with the acting, because both the leads were really good in this. And I will say that at times, in certain scenes, Ian McKellen was scary good. There were just a couple of little moments where he showed exactly what he's capable of. And yeah, I really liked the performances in this overall. They also worked well together. And that, I guess, brings me to the story, which I also liked for the most part. And the general idea here is that you have these two elderly people who meet on some sort of dating site and they hit it off. However, things aren't necessarily what they seem like. And that's pretty much all I can say about the plot and the story without giving anything away. But let's just say that there's a bit of a mystery thriller aspect to this movie as well. I would say that's the general tone it's going for, even though the romance is an important part as well. But I feel like that's not really the focus of the movie. The focus is more on the mystery thriller part. And you know, it ended up being very gripping and engaging. And as I mentioned, the pacing worked really well too, so it never really lost me in that sense. But then that brings me to the one and only real issue I had with this movie. And it's an issue I have with a lot of movies that have this mystery element to them. I even mentioned it in my Knives Out review, and that's that, well, they tend to get a bit silly. At some point a lot of them just kind of push the limits of my ability to fully go along with it. And this one did that as well toward the end, because it's a bit far-fetched. I mean, I get why they do that, to keep the audience on their toes and guessing. And it does all make sense, it's not nonsensical, it's just a bit too far-fetched. It's asking the audience to suspend their disbelief a bit too much. So yeah, it did kinda lose me there toward the end, I didn't love it. But I was definitely expecting a twist, and the one they went with was the only one that would make sense. So I sorta saw it coming. I mean, I didn't know all the details, but I had a strong hunch. And I will admit that, in a way, there was a sense of satisfaction I got from the end as well. It definitely wasn't terrible, but at the same time, it was probably my least favorite part of the movie. And a shaky ending can ruin a movie, but in this case it didn't, it just knocked it down a notch. And since I liked just about everything else about it, I'm still gonna say it's a pretty decent movie. However, would I recommend it? Sure, why not? If it sounds interesting, give it a shot. Or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.